This session will delve into the art and science of future predictions. Welcome, Abhigya and Andrew Fai, which is me. But I'll be coming in as an avatar, and you'll see me in a little bit. Hold on, getting ready. Hi, Anand. Sorry.
Namaste.
Yeah, it's been last time we had a quite a deep discussion, a couple of things, and yeah, so we'd like to kind of learn more about like your work at the Prajna
Mhm.
Jyotisha Institute. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right. Can you share
Yes,
a
you
little
are.
bit more?
Yes, you are.
Can you briefly describe your work?
Mhm.
Yeah, at the Prajna Jyotisha Institute.
Basically, I've been studying patterns in history as well as astrological cycles since the age of 11. I've been studying this subject and correlating planetary positions with events on Earth and geological events, geopolitical events, socio-economic events, and cephalogical events as well. Analyzing patterns in the skies and trying to relate them to what is happening in the world, and using this predicting the future. So this is something I've been working on for the past few years.
Yeah. So, and I think the biggest question is like, is your prediction scientific?
Yes, it is not exactly science in the way that you would define science, basically. So currently, science is somewhat evidence based. So if you have evidence for something, clear evidence that is repeated multiple times, you can call that scientific in the modern sense. I would say that definitely astrology is able to show its prowess in front of the public by making very accurate predictions above an accuracy rate of 75%. Well, I don't claim to be 100% accurate. My predictions are mostly 75, 80, and some 90% accurate. So definitely astrology is very accurate if you apply it in the right manner, although you cannot say it is exactly evidence based. So if you ask me how I predicted the Israel Hamas war and what's exactly the reason behind Mars and another planet coming together in the skies and a war happening on Earth, I cannot explain the exact scientific pathway, but yes, I can tell you theoretically that such a planetary position impacts Earth in a negative way.
And last time, yeah, camera on me,
That's
camera on
cute.
me. Look at me, look at me. Last time I was told you made 6 predictions and 5 of them came true. Could you share each of these predictions and would
Oh,
like to love
yes.
to know more about it?
Definitely, definitely. So I make, contrary to what people think generally in Taiwan, a lot of news media covers my predictions almost, every week or every day at times. But I make predictions very rarely. I don't make 100 predictions every year. I don't predict every day, but the media reports it every day. Whereas if you look at my official YouTube channel, you'll only see 5 videos since the beginning of this year and only 6 videos totally in the last 365 days. So basically, in a certain video, I make a couple of predictions for the next year. Those are somewhat like a forecast and somewhat like a prediction. They are not prophecies, as some people think. They are, my interpretation of the planetary cycles and how they're going to be. So some of the predictions I made in 2019, because I maybe for those of you who have heard of the previous keynote which I spoke about, in August of 2019 I suddenly felt that there are certain planetary positions that are very impactful and have certain negative combinations. The World Economic Forum and other important global forums were predicting that 2020 would be a great year, whereas in my video I'd mentioned that it would be a year of severe recession and there would be a major economic crisis because the planetary positions were very similar to previous economic crisis situations that came about. And also, it resembled some of the World War situations. So I was very, very intrigued by that. And immediately I went on camera and told my audience, which was little at that time, that there is going to be a severe danger to the world and there is a possibility of a disease or a world war. I gave two possibilities. And what happened eventually was a pandemic. I also predicted that the airline industry would suffer, which came exactly true. And I also predicted, the stock market crashing, which also came true. And I also gave the date range for it, which is available on that video. And some people say, there are a lot of reasons how people, sometimes try to explain this prediction. There are some people who say that I had some inside information, but that's absolutely silly. There's no way I can have that kind of information. Another important prediction that I made later on was about the possibility of a major terrorist attack in October to November 2023. I posted this prediction on the 4th of October, and on the 7th of October we had the attack. I likened it to 9/11. I also likened it to a major terrorist attack. I also showed the region of the terrorist attack, and it happened. But I missed one part. I said it would happen somewhere after October 14th. It happened a week before, but everything else was correct. If I had gotten that as well right, then that would be a 100% accurate prediction. But this was around 80, 85%. You could put it that way. Yeah. So a few predictions like this. And then, of course, recently I had also mentioned that 2024 is very similar to 1971, and also it's very similar to 1965, and it would see some global turbulence, since the year is not a very happy year, as we are already seeing now. 1971, most of you who might have read international news might observe that 1971 we had Bangladesh was in a serious crisis. That was the birth of Bangladesh as a country, if you've heard of the war at that time. And again, 2024, Bangladesh is in serious crisis. A couple of things. But then sometimes I also do miss predictions. I am not somebody who gets everything right every time. That would make me some sort of a god, which I am not. And only God is aware of all the events that happen in the past, the present, and the future. We human beings can only fathom a little bit. And hence, I do not claim to be a prophet nor any sort of god, as sometimes people name me in the media. So I do not get everything right. For example, the Turkey earthquake. There was a possibility of predicting that if I had a keener eye, but I did not predict that because there are a lot of reasons for that. Maybe I did not get the right information, or I wasn't very keen enough to look at that. Yes. So out of 7 predictions, about 5 to 6 come accurate, and many of them cannot be replicated with modern prediction tools. And I have of late challenged anyone who can disprove these predictions with any credible arguments. Thank you.
Okay, so just to clarify one more time, all these media saying you have made 100 predictions, they're all wrong. You've only made 6
That's
so
right.
far.
That's right.
Okay, and when you make these predictions, hello?
Yes.
When you make these predictions, does it come to you in a vision in your mind, or is there a hunch? Is there instinct? Is this what comes into it? Like what do you feel about it? Is there a signal? Is there a research, or what comes into the
Uh,
mind?
Definitely, this might sound a bit funny to some people, and to those who are, have practiced meditation, because of course Taiwan is a very spiritual place as well. So a lot of you, I'm sure, would have practiced meditation. When you're on the screen and working on the laptops or smartphones throughout the day, your brain feels a bit dizzy, right? So I generally don't make very accurate predictions when I'm sitting with my devices. I just take a break. I go for a walk. I meditate for 20 minutes in the morning, midday, and the evening. I chant my prayers. And then I leave the mind a bit clean and open at that time. And then I begin to think of patterns, basically, because that's the primary thing I do. I try to identify patterns and try to forecast events before they happen. So when that happens, there is an element of intuition involved. Of course, there is an element of intuition. You have to be in a meditative mood in order to be able to identify the right pattern. Because when you're looking at the sky, it's not like I have a crystal ball. Of course, this event is called a crystal ball, but I do not have any crystal ball. I have to look at thousands of patterns that are overlapping one on top of the other. Jupiter Saturn cycles, North Node and South Node cycles, lunar cycles, solar cycles, and Jovian cycles, Venusian cycles, Martian cycles. So all of this overlaps. So amidst all the chaos, you have to pick something. And that picking is extremely difficult a job. Unlike what people think, astrology is not some sort of a magic stuff in which we just basically are able to see the future. I don't have some sort of a divine insight that I can just look into the future. Yes, there is intuition. For example, before the Israel-Hamas war occurred, 4 days before it, I just felt that the positions aren't fine and something is just wrong. I just felt that way. Then I went to my software and just took a look. We had the same positions as 2001. Anyone who studies astrology, or anyone who has a basic, understanding of the planetary movements through the zodiac, which is a very scientific way of, calculating things, if you just look at it, the positions were exactly the same. If people just had an open mind and looked at it, you could have predicted it. You could have probably saved a lot of lives. That day, 1,400 people died in Israel, and was followed by a very bloody war. So I think if people are more open minded, we can probably predict a lot more things. Now it's only probably me and a few people who are trying to predict things using astrology. But if brilliant minds here come together, and if you all really, think about it and have an open mind, we can probably uncover something even more accurate than what I have done so far. So definitely there's a combination of intuition and mathematical precision and historical data, astrological cycles that are used to make a prediction. Yep.
Could you share a little bit more about what do you mean by open mind, and perhaps does
Hmm.
meditation play a role opening up the mind as well?
Yes, yes. You might have heard this little meme. You spend 6 hours on Zoom calls in a day, and you tend to lose all of the ideas that you're having. For most people, at least for me, there are probably a lot of people here who can still withstand. If I'm on Zoom calls throughout the day, meetings constantly, I tend to lose my creativity a little bit. Whereas even but if I'm on interpersonal conversations, I tend to get ideas. But meditation is the best part of it, because that's when your mind is calm and you put the thoughts away for a while, and when it's empty, you have an open canvas to paint your thoughts on. And that's the beauty of making a prediction through astrology. But it is very stressful, of course, making astrological predictions, that too in front of a million people at times, because my channel, when I make predictions on YouTube, we have at least 200,000 people who watch it within a span of a week or so, and then it is also spread across the media. So of course there is a level of pressure involved, which is why I stay away from certain predictions. I predicted the rise of blockchain and cryptocurrency in 2021 with the exact date and the fall as well. And after that, I was getting a lot of emails and messages to predict the future of blockchain, and also the future, week to week. That was very stressful for me, so I just said I should just take a back seat from this, because trying to predict the markets is such a stressful job. The dynamics involved in it are massive, and I should take a back seat. So yes, meditation is very helpful, and when we over rely on technology and focus too much on the markets and stuff like that, we tend to lose our creativity a little bit. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah. As I'm aware, there are like many different types of meditation. Like, could you enlighten us a little bit of the specific type of meditation that you do that enables such astrological prediction of the cosmic energy out there?
Yes, of course, that's a great question. So, my type of meditation, which I generally do, of course, everyone has their own wonderful way of calming themselves down and connecting with the divine, as you could put it. So, what I do is basically every morning I try to get up early. I'm not perfect that way, also, but I try my best to get up early every day, at least 1.5 hours before local sunrise time, approximately, and then take a bath, preferably with cold water. You might have heard of the benefits of that. We're not going to that today. But next, I just, take a glass of water in a silver or copper vessel. And you might have heard of the water memory effect. The more we are positive near a body of water, a little bit of water, or humans are themselves made up of 80%, 70 to 80% of water in most cases. A lot of the things we have around us are full of water everywhere. So the more we are positive around water, it has a tremendous positive effect on us. The sages had told us to chant in the morning when the sun is rising. So when it is at the eastern horizon, precisely, I begin to chant 108 recitations of the Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra is to be chanted at a very low volume, so I won't be chanting it here today. But the Gayatri mantra, basically, the meaning is, O sun, please enlighten me with your brilliance, and please give me the energy to look into things that are beyond my present intellect, so the limits of my intellect. So that's the prayer. I keep chanting it 108 times, and of course I believe that's helping me. It's up to everyone's belief. I believe that helps me. And midday around noon, I do the same thing again. I again sit and meditate on a little on the ground. Like, of course, you can't meditate while watching YouTube or while watching Instagram. You have to meditate when you're sitting on the ground, far away from all kinds of distractions. And especially for people in the markets, people who are working with the markets, it's going to be very difficult because you'll have some sort of trade positions open there, you'll have some blockchain projects over here, and you kind of distracted. But it helps if you stay away from that for a while, just lay a mat on the ground and peacefully look at something. That some people say, why do you need idols to worship? This is something that's asked to a lot of people who worship idols. The idol is basically a center of focus and concentration. So generally, some people say just close your eyes and meditate. But meditate on what? Most humans we are five sense beings, so we require something to focus on. So I focus on the sun. I light a little lamp. I focus on that, or I keep an idol of my favorite devata or deity, and I focus on that, and that helps me meditate. I do the same in the evening, and this is 20 minutes, 1 hour of meditation in a day helps, and I'm sure it'll help anybody here. Yeah.
And is there like a optimal environment that you put yourself in to get to this prime state of that energy? And for instance, even perhaps the diet that can help you enter this
Of
phase
course.
even better.
Of course, yes, the diet is very important. When one eats animals which have been slaughtered for the sake of our taste buds, it's definitely something very negative, and we cannot meditate deeply, we cannot think deeply, and we basically cannot reach spiritual levels when we consume non-vegetarian food. So I avoid that altogether. I consume sattvic vegetarian food. Sattvic means that which helps in enlightenment, and tamasic means that which deludes you and doesn't allow you to progress. So diet is very, very important. I also fast twice in a month. When you fast, you give your digestive system some rest. You keep more energy open for other activities, not just spiritual energy, but even physical energy. You divert that into meditation instead of digestion 365 days, 24 by 7. So this helps. This helps a lot. Yeah, diet helps a lot. Mindset helps a lot. The place is also important. You have to be in a place that is conducive to meditation as much as possible. A natural place, a pond, a park, a little temple, or with other people who are also keen on meditation, like forming a little group in which everyone has the same goal to be calm and peaceful. That helps.
Okay, and when you enter that state of meditation with the right diet and the right atmosphere and environment, like, and with your eyes closed, what happens in your mind? Is it just all blank, black,
Hmm.
empty space, or is just something that colors you see, or something that you can give us some idea or direction that we're doing it right?
I am definitely not at that stage of meditation wherein I can probably, reach levels of imagination and, seeing something of that sort. Probably other people have better and stronger experiences than me, but I definitely do feel more creative and more compassionate and more calm and less worrisome and less anxious after meditation, which is a very scientific effect, and it has been proven as well. So that helps me that way, and of course several times it gives me spurts of intuition, you could put it that way, sparks of intuition. It does help. Yes, definitely. And I don't see any specific visual things, although sometimes I do see light, just bright light at times. It doesn't give I've so far not seen any specific visual imagery that has helped me with meditation, to be honest.
Yeah, but some of the predictions you made are they are quite, you know, life threatening, or just they're very scary predictions. And does it just come to you like you're in a peaceful state and boom, like danger, 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 like what
Yeah.
goes in, like you just, I'm just curious to know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I do make positive predictions, I do make negative predictions both, but negative is what catches the media quickly, so they're very quick to report that. When I say 2023 is going to be a great year, which I did in many ways except for violence, they tend to underreport the positive side and overreport the negative side. So that kind of distorts the thing. But yes, sometimes I'm very specific when I say severe danger to the world. In 2019, I posted a video with this title. That was the primary focus of it. I knew for sure that something very bad is going to happen, but it wasn't clear whether it's a world war or whether it's a pandemic for sure. But I knew that between November of 2019 and April of 2020, specifically between February and April, there's going to be danger. Sometimes I just have to be blunt about things and not just, be too vague. But when I don't know something very well, I have to be vague. And whenever I make a prediction that's a bit unsettling, I would request the people, whoever listens to such predictions, not to panic, because life is all about good and bad things that happen together. Forecasts are meant so that one is prepared for something, and the best thing to do whenever you hear something negative is going to happen, is to pray positively. And even one person's prayer can impact a negative situation in a positive way. And imagine if 100,000 people or 200,000 people pray together for something good to happen. The environment is charged positively. Of course, it is. So I think people should look at it from a more positive sense instead of a negative sense. And third, the reasons why I make accurate predictions. My primary goal is to prove the law of karma. Astrology is going to be defunct without the law of karma. How am I able to predict such events? It's because we all have something called a collective karma. If we do something wrong repetitively and continuously, we have to face the consequences of it as a society, as a community, as a country, or as the world in itself. There was too much negative karma that was visible in the planetary positions for 2020, which is what helped me identify that it is going to be a very unique and a very problematic year. So whenever one hears, such predictions, it's important to pray for well-being of everybody, as we do. Even in my videos, I end every one of my prediction videos with a prayer for the benefit of society. I don't end my predictions with a negative tone. You can check them for yourself on YouTube.
Okay. And so is there any predictions you have that you have yet to share?
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. I mean, when I have a prediction, I generally share it on YouTube. But yes, since few people want to know about what's going to happen this year, I'd say 2024 definitely is going to be the reason why these few years. I think in my keynote I'd already described it. We are at the cusp of a entirely new era. It's an era of 400 years in the astrological cycles, and we're just at the beginning of it. So the beginning of a new era is always tumultuous. The first 5 or 10 years at least are very tumultuous. In a 400-year cycle, the first 20 years are very tumultuous. So it means a lot of things are going up and down. The global order would change. The way countries, interact with each other is going to change. Some boundaries could change. Things could be going wrong. Anything can go wrong. At the same time, a lot of good things also will happen during this time frame. People will become more kinder, more compassionate with those weaker than them. Several people, not everybody, but a lot of people will change towards the positive. And I also believe that 2025 is going to be a difficult year. This is one of the forecasts I've made. Whereas I do not want to make any specifically politically charged statements over here. I'd say that 2025 is difficult with the South China Sea, which I've already mentioned in my previous interviews. It was taken for a spin, that statement, and a lot of political connotations were added to it. But I just keep it blunt and simple here. If there's something further that I have to say, I'll post it on YouTube. But here I'm just going to say that 2025, especially after March and around March and after March, is going to be a very tumultuous time frame, specifically for the geological situation. We could expect some sort of an earthquake to occur, which is a stronger earthquake. Some people say earthquakes happen every year, and what's the use in predicting it? Some earthquakes are stronger than the others. Some people say wars happen every other time, and what so some wars are worse than the others, and danger happens every year, but some dangers are worse than the others, like in 2020. So I'd say 2025 is an year we all need to be careful about, especially when it comes to global peace and security. And some things are out of our control, so we just need to pray to make sure everything's fine. Again, this is a forecast. This is not a prophecy. I'm not sitting here and channelizing something from above and telling you all about it. It is just a forecast based on astrological cycles. The last time we had positions like 2025, it was in 1968. And for those of you who read the history books, many of you would know what happened in 1968. We had the Vietnam War, and we had genocide that happened. We had several natural disasters that took place. We had the Soviet Union and the Cold War, which was at its height. So definitely that wasn't a great period, but I wouldn't expect something as bad as that to happen. But it's a version of that which could play out next year. And yeah, that's one of my predictions. On the positive side, as I've already mentioned, the next 20 years will see tremendous technological growth in different fields, something that we haven't seen, something very similar to the 1600s and the early 20th century. The rapid social and economic progress that's going to be made is going to be very already we all know that AI is going to change the world, but the scale and the speed at which it is going to transform the world, it's going to be very unique this time. So that's, I wouldn't call it a positive prediction, but it's something of a mix. Yeah.
So with good times comes bad times, with bad times go good times.
Perfect.
Would love to know, like, what are your predictions for AI? Or is AI going to take over humans one day, or is AI the final evolution of humans, or
Okay.
what's going to happen? Are we going to merge with AI? And just curious about what's
Okay.
your take on all this AI fear.
Yeah. I mean, yes, a lot of people are a bit concerned about AI. Even I am concerned in a way. I mean, not for my work that I do, astrology. I'm just concerned for AI and its effect on humanity itself. Um, so the thing is, when a new technology comes about with force, it always has a positive and negative consequence. For example, when the automobiles came about, people said horses are all gonna die. Well, horses didn't die. Of course, we stopped using them for transport, but automobiles did come. And there was a negative consequence of that, and there was a positive consequence. Positives, we all know. We are here because of the evolution of automobiles and airplanes and everything. But at the same time, we've also made the world a difficult place to live in with global warming, and automobiles have definitely contributed to it. So we always have a plus and minus. In the 1940s, during the Great Conjunction, automobiles suddenly came about everywhere, and we had proliferation of that technology. 1960s semiconductors, 1980s internet. Again, even with the internet, we're able to communicate with each other, but at the same time, social media has taken over the youngsters and the youth so badly that the youth is losing a sense of purpose. I don't mean everybody, but 80% of the youth doesn't know what to do. Technology is digressing them from their path. So yeah, there is a negative consequence. And as parents of children, of course, parents can do a great job in channelizing their energy. Children are full of energy, and it's important not to let that go down the drain with all of these technologies. Rather, do something that helps society. And similarly with gaming also, so I would say with everything comes a positive and a negative. With AI, though, it's going to be huge positives and huge negatives. It's already helping save lives with autonomous driving technologies and medical equipment, where they're using AI to identify health disorders, before they happen, and also with surgeries. It's great work. At the same time, AI is being used with the dark web. AI is being used to manipulate identities. AI is being used to change public opinion negatively and topple governments in countries. So I believe AI is also hurting in a way, but it totally depends on how you use something. You have a knife with you. You can use it to change the world positively, or you can use it to cause a lot of troubles. And talking to the GameFi community or the gaming community, I would say the same thing. I would recommend that you do something. Of course, gaming can only be successful when people are addicted to something, very much. But then we need to think of a world wherein you don't require users to be addicted to something in order to progress and prosper. Rather, you require everyone to be happy and healthy for you also to progress and prosper. So I think if we make such subtle changes everywhere, we can create a better future for ourselves. I'm very confident of that, and I hope it happens.
Okay, we're running a little bit over time, but just
Yes.
one small question.
Perfect.
What's that on your forehead?
Sorry?
What's that on your forehead?
What's that?
What's that line on your forehead?
This line. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, this line here, this symbolizes a human, and this symbolizes divinity. We start different. We don't realize the closeness between us and divinity. We start different. You see, these two lines are divergent, and then they start to come closer and closer and closer until they meet over here. So this is known as one of the chakras of the human body. Of course, if you ask me for a scientific explanation of this chakra, I'll probably have to consult somebody else. But just talking about this, this is the you have a gland here, the pituitary, the pineal gland, and it helps. This just symbolizes that We start different as humans and divinity, and eventually we converge and we realize the supreme truth, which is convergent. So it's a symbol of that. It just reminds me of that, and it's also my Vedic cultural symbol. So I like to wear it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I've
you.
learned so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
thank you, thank
It
you.
was great having everybody here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anand, for this amazing fireside chat.